You see, there was once this little group of tiny mouselets. Tiny little baby mice. They'd just been born out into the world, and they were still grey and hairless, and their eyes were still closed, and they were climbing all over each other and making these little mouselet sounds as they went about just exploring and playing and having fun as they came out into the world. And the mother mouse was there all proud, and they were drinking from her, and all was good until suddenly this big dark cloud of shadowy darkness just moved over them. And the mother mouse looked and saw approaching them a big black and white tomcat. And its teeth were sticking out. And it had this piercing look in its eyes, saliva drooling. And if there was one thing the cat could have said, it would have been, lunchtime! And with that, from the other side of her pile of mouselets, the mother mouse leapt into the space between the mouselets and the big tomcat. And she looked at the tomcat and let rip. Woof! Woof, woof, woof! Woof, 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 woof. With that, the tomcat spun around on his heels and shot off into the distance, yelping. Mother mouse turns to her little mouselets and goes, There, my dears. Now, never underestimate the power of learning a second language. And you are learning another form of communication, are you not? Speaking about that, it's going to become very useful to you sometimes to be able to say things in certain ways. And one of the ways in which NLP is sometimes described is the difference that makes the difference. And there are many things within NLP that become that difference that makes the difference. And one of them will be the way in which you get your point across. Because it will help the clients to go where they need to go. And that's what anchoring is all about. Anchoring, in terms of what I've been doing as the trainer, and covertly demonstrating as well, has been pervasive throughout this course already. One obvious example is your callback song, One Love. When you hear that, you know what it means, don't you? There are important aspects to anchoring. And anchoring is that stimulus response. You see something, and it gives you that feeling. You hear something, and it puts you into that state. You touch something, and suddenly it's got you reacting in a certain way. Okay? Stimulus response. You've heard of Pavlov's dogs? Yes? Ring the bell, start salivating, because the bell is associated with lunchtime. Most of the reasons why your clients will come to you is because of, we can say, bad anchoring. Yesterday I said it'll be because they're at effect, but this is the same thing. There is a particular stimulus in their external environment, in their life, as they go through their day, and it makes them feel not good and causes them, now you see they're at effect of an external stimulus, causes them to behave in ways they don't want to behave. They've got a problem, they've been unable to solve it, and they're now coming to you. So what we're going to do is help them to elicit what is that anchor. It's also known as a trigger. What is that anchor or trigger that causes them to go into the state, and we help them to change the meaning they give that anchor or trigger. And when we take away the energy, the energetic response to an anchor, in other words, the meaning we give that trigger or anchor changes. Therefore, the feeling we have towards it changes. There's the energy shift. And new behavioral choice becomes apparent to us. So that anchor no longer has its effect. Then it is, in NLP terms, known to be collapsed. And I'll be teaching you collapsing anchors in great depth because your HNLP coaching model is essentially a conversational application of collapsing anchors. When you're anchoring a client, you want to make sure that you associate the client into a desired state. They'll come because they are experiencing an undesirable state. And when you want to vividly associate clients into a desired state, there are three main ways of doing so. Okay? One is remember a past time when you felt the way you would like to feel in this context. Anytime. Could have been earlier today, all the way back to your earliest childhood memories. When was a time you felt the way you would like to feel in this context? And then the client starts to tell you about it. You say, tell me all about it. And you listen to what did they see, hear, feel, smell, and taste. And if they don't tell you about it in such vivid terms, about everything that they see, hear, feel, smell, and taste, then you ask them, what did you see? What did you hear? You want to light up all the senses, because that's then a more vivid association. Once you've got all that information, you repeat back to them. Okay, now you shift your language from that past experience, talking in past tense, through to present tense terms. Right, so now, as you're there, walking along the beach, feeling the sand underneath your feet, seeing, and you're activating all the senses again, adding ing, present tense terms, associating them into that as if it's happening now. And you calibrate to them lighting up. And then at the peak of the experience, that's when you stimulate the anchor. And yesterday you had your whatever it was. Okay? What this shows you here is the intensity of the state and the time that that state lasts. Now in your manual and in other NLP textbooks, it will say you anchor for between 1 and 15 seconds. 15 seconds is a heck of a long time to stay at the peak of a really resourceful state. So I would not ever try go as long as that. Yesterday I suggested 3 seconds. And from my experience, it seems like the peak of any particular state, 3 seconds is easy. You only need to anchor that peak. What you don't want to do is anchor anything that is after that peak. Okay, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, that was great. Oh, I haven't let go of this yet. You're anchoring the wrong state. You want the peak of it. Very important. If they can't remember, I have never felt confident the way I want to feel confident. I have no recall. Then you imagine one. Well, you know somebody who's really confident, don't you? Oh yeah, that Tony Robbins guy. I mean, he walks around like he owns the world. And I've been to one of his shows, and great. So I'd like you to imagine that you're Tony Robbins, and you're on the stage now, and you're talking to 11,000 people, and the music's going. And tell me what you, as Tony Robbins, right now, he does a whole second position, Tony Robbins. The other way of imagining is, okay, so you've never had that experience right now. But you can probably imagine what it's like to feel confident right now. You could probably show me in your body what confidence looks like, can't you? I mean, I know what I would do with my body if I felt confident right now. What would you do with your body? And get the client to really do the physiology associated with the state that they desire. And you calibrate to when they're really in it. That's the peak that you're anchoring. And the best of all would be, as you're doing the coaching session and you tell a joke, or just as part of the conversation you associate the client into something, or they remember and they're telling you about something and they're really in that really good resourceful state, you anchor it. And you anchor it just by repeating a word. The word that they say when they're really in the peak of the state that they're describing, or the look in their face, you just repeat it back to them as they're there. Or a certain gesture with their body that they do to mimic the state that they're in, you just repeat it back to them right at that time when they're in the state. Now you're creating, through these things, visual anchors, as well as if it's a word that you're repeating back to them, auditory. A combination of the two is always great. I say the word the way the feeling feels that is associated with it. Okay. And when I'm calibrating to them being right at the peak, I'm observing their beamers. What are beamers? It's an acronym in NLP for Behavioral Manifestation of Internal Representation. And I'm watching how their internal representations are having an external effect on their physiology. I'm calibrating. And only when their beamer tells me they're at the peak of their experience do we anchor that. In traditional NLP, you learn collapsing anchors by doing strange things that include touching knuckles. We don't do any of that at this course because it's just nothing you're ever going to use in real life. Where you're anchoring certain states onto each of your client's knuckles and then releasing fingers at critical points to create a chain. And every time this has been demonstrated at courses, the effects range between relatively okay downwards to no effect at all. You don't have to now suddenly go, wait, can I touch a freckle? Well, they're in, maybe not so appropriate. And in certain coaching contexts, just going around and touching is generally not going to be appropriate. So always look for how you can get the visual and auditory anchors first. So that's how you elicit anchors and how you condition them. Then you provide a specific stimulus at the peak. We've just spoken about that, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. Break a state, and then you set off the anchor to test. So, I don't know what an example of that might be, but it might be something like lunchtime. Okay, so there's a specific way you say and do things that provokes a certain state. And then you just test it in the way that I just did. And that's the nuts and the bolts of anchoring. But now, it seems like a lot of NLP practitioners, when they learn this, still struggle to get their head around how animated you need to become as the coach in order to get your clients to go to where you want them to go. And it seems like lots of new practitioners still like to resort to the old, okay, we're going to get a memory. I want you to see where you were, hear the sounds around you, the smells, the tastes, and how does it feel? And I'd really like you to avoid even going there. And the trick to getting this right is to learn to squeeze your words. In other words, you really use language to animate yourself and therefore the client into the appropriate state. There's a way of saying things that helps them to identify and therefore associate with the experience that is the useful one for them to have in the here and now. We call it squeezing your words. You've learned about embedded commands to make your points, to get a message into the unconscious. Okay? This is to do with that kind of stuff. But there's some more to know about how to use the appropriate language. And if you listen to the MP3s, you once upon a time heard a crazy demonstration. You might have been wondering what's really going on right there. Because, and I'll change the names, there was a guy. We call him Busy Bob. And a time when John and his therapeutic colleagues, long before the days of coaching, were working in a hospital. And being therapists working in a clinical environment of that kind, they process a lot of stuff. And the therapists themselves need a bit of a time out. So they put together a supervision class where Busy Bob would come along and he would help them to relax. This is how anchors work. Because now I know who's listened to the MP3s.
That was an excellent point.
Okay. So that get-together therapist, but our Busy Bob didn't have much time, right? Okay. He only had about 5 minutes to facilitate a whole relaxation session. So here's what not to do. All right, hi everybody. We're going to do a relaxation today. Are you all ready? I want you to sit down. Make yourself completely comfortable. I want you to relax. I want you to relax, okay? Are you going to relax? Are you ready? So what we're going to do is we're going to do progressive relaxation. Progressive relaxation, starting from the top of your head. I want you to put all your attention top of your head. Put all your attention top of your head. Think about the top of your head. Look at the top of it, and I want you to think about the top of the head. Okay, got your attention. So relax the top of the head. Relax the top of it. Relax your head. Relax your head. I want you to relax. Relax. Relax your head. Put your attention down on the face. Face. Think about the face. Relax the face. Relax your face. Lots of tension in the neck. Lots of tension in the neck. I want you to relax your neck. Just relax your neck. That's right. Just relax. Relax your neck. Just relax. Relax. Just relax your neck. Put your shoulders down. Think about the shoulders. Relax your 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 shoulders. Relax. Relax. Relax your shoulders. Feel the chest. I want you to relax your chest. Feel the chest. Relax the chest. Relax the chest. Feel the back. Lots of tension in the lower back. Feel that tension in the lower back. Relax the back. Relax the back. Relax the back. Tummy. Relax the tummy. Relax the tummy. Relax the tummy. Put your attention in the butt. Put your attention in the butt. Relax the butt. Relax the butt. Relax. Relax. Relax the butt. Relax the butt. Relax the butt. Relax the butt. Put your attention down the legs. I want you to feel the legs. Feel the legs. Calm. Relax the legs. Relax the legs. Ankles, loosen the ankles. I want you to loosen the ankles. Okay, everybody, ready? Relax your ankles, relax your ankles, relax your toes, relax your toes. Gotta go. Thank you very much. Bye. Okay. Now that you're relaxed, have a good day. Bye. What not to do? I was once asked to be the guest speaker at a beauty school graduation ceremony, and 70 beauty therapists graduating at the ceremony with all their boyfriends, husbands, mothers, fathers, and aunts and uncles who had come along to celebrate the event with them were there on this evening. Now, I got called by the owner of this beauty school because it's a beauty school for the whole West Coast area, and their office is in Langebaan, where I happen to live, and that's, I guess, how they heard about me. Somebody had told them that I might have something meaningful to say at their event. But up until that point in time, because this is a number of years ago, I had just done my first NLP practitioner course, and I had no experience doing any kind of public speaking. In fact, public speaking was my greatest fear of all fears. Up until that moment in time, doing the very thing I'm doing now terrified the life out of me, so much so that I would stand up in front of a group like yourselves, terrified. My knees would be shaking. I would hyperventilate. I couldn't even get the words out. I was choking. And you would blank out. Everything became blurry, and I would want to get sick. I felt nauseous. Not a very resourceful state to be doing any kind of presentation in. But such was my fear of public speaking. And a lot of people, even those who have to do public speaking, have similar fears. Okay, public speaking is a terrifying thing for many people. After that day, when I applied what I'd learned at the course in terms of having a resource anchor, my fear was gone. And since then, it's become my occupation to speak in front of people. So what I did when they asked me to do this was, I thought, okay, I've learned this anchoring stuff. I know that I need to get myself into a desired state. I need to provide a specific stimulus. When I can get into the peak of that state, okay, then I'll think of something else for a moment. And then when I'm ready, like now it's time to stand up and do the presentation, I will fire my anchor and see what happens. Because I've been taught how I'm going to do that. So that's what I did. I thought, okay, how am I going to present excellently? How do I want to feel? Well, I'd like to be confident. Okay, great. So now I want to associate into a confident state. Yep, I can remember being confident. I happen to have done competitive judo for many years. And I know that at the beginning of a fight, at the beginning of a competition, I would do the last tie of my belt with a hard clasp, boom, and tighten it like that, and step forwards onto the mat. That was my ritual. That was my anchor for getting into the appropriate ready state before any judo competition or tournament. So I would get vividly into that experience. I would imagine feeling the belt underneath my hands, and a judo belt is quite a stiff thing, so there's quite a vivid kinesthetic to that. I would imagine the audience around the mat, my competitor on the other side of the mat, the referee and the other two judges on the other side of the mat. I would vividly bring them all into my imagined visual field. I would hear the sounds of people around me. There's usually a scent or a smell to a judo hall. It's mostly sweat. Okay? And I'd get vividly associated with all my 5 senses. And when I'm at the peak of that state, and states don't last long, 1 to 15 seconds maximum, and I think 1 or 2 or 3 seconds is more accurate. At the peak of that experience, when I'm really there, feeling that clasp of the belt, hearing, seeing, smelling, the whole works, I would touch a freckle on my finger, on my hand, right there. Just while I'm at the peak of it. And before the peak of it goes, before the state starts to diminish, I release. Okay. Now I've installed a confidence anchor in my neurology through kinesthetic touch. The state is associated with this very unique stimulus. Very unique stimulus. Great, I've got confidence. Now I know how to get myself into a confident state covertly anywhere. All I need to do, and nobody in the audience is aware of it, is just touch that freckle. Boom. So the MC says, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a very special guest speaker for you tonight. And I'm sitting there at my table where I've been invited. And I'm going, oh no. And I was getting the audience all hyped up and everything. And I can feel those nervous feelings coming up, and I can feel all those horrible sensations I used to experience when I had to do presentations at college and stuff before. And now it's my time to stand up and go to the mic. And as I do, I just stand up, fire my anchor. Nobody knows what I'm doing. Step onto the podium. It just flowed. So I was convinced from that moment on that this anchoring stuff really works. Lunchtime! I want you to relax. Relax. I want you to relax your neck. Just relax your neck. That's right. Just relax. I want you to relax. I want you to relax. Okay? Are you going to relax? Are you ready?